Send and return.
You might have a favourite preamp or a stomp box that you want to use with the GT10, and you can do that by basically routing it into the external effects loop, or the send return as it's otherwise known. We're going to have a look at patching that up in the connections chapter of this DVD, but let's have a look at how we basically tailor whether the effects loop is on or off within an individual patch. Do that by pressing Master, and then use either the scroll wheel or the right cursor until you get to send return. Now you'll notice on the screen here it currently says send return off. Okay, at a glance we can see that the external loop is bypassed. It's not on currently. So let's just press the enter button to go into the menu, and you can turn the loop on by pressing the master button again. Okay, you can toggle its on off state just by pressing on or off. Now if I want my external pedal to be on when you switch to a patch, you need to write its on state to the patch. Okay, so make sure it's on and then press right twice. Now anytime I switch to that patch, the external loop will be on. So you might have your preamp that you only want to be on within certain patches. So basically only save as on state for the patches that you want it to be on in. Okay, so again, just go into master, press enter, and toggle its on off state within the master button there. Okay, there's some other settings here. There's actually 3 separate modes within the effects loop, which all have totally different functions, which we're going to look at in a moment. And you've also got a send and return level, which allow you to basically tailor the level coming from and going to your external stomp box or effect. Okay, let's have a look at the 3 separate modes now. Normal. This is a standard series type effects loop and works in the same way as chaining a bunch of stomp boxes together, where the effect and level of one has a direct impact on the sound and level of the next one within the chain. Direct mix. This works as a parallel effects loop. It essentially allows you to mix the signal of an external effect in with the internal chain of the GT10 without impacting on the overall level. To give you a practical example of both of these modes, I have connected an external pedal to the loop and placed it at the end of the effects chain. With the loop mode set to normal, the entire signal is passed through the external pedal. Because of this, when I turn down the external effects via the return parameter, the entire effects chain turns down. But with the loop set to direct mix, as I turn down the return level, only the effect of the external stomp box is turned down, leaving the rest of my effects chain intact. This is particularly useful because you can set different levels for your external stomp box in different patches, rather than having to adjust it manually on the stomp box itself. It works really well for effects such as delay and reverb. I find it works best to turn the effect level of the stomp box to 100% and make your level adjustments within the loop. Branch out. This mode works as an auxiliary output. It will send out everything that is placed before it in the effects chain. Let's say, for example, that you are recording and your sound engineer wants to record only the dry, unaffected preamp sound so that he can add effects later. But you really need your effects on to give you the right feel for what you are performing. Well, you simply place the loop after your preamp, but before the effects, and run the send cable to the mixing console. Now, the sound guy gets his dry sound, and you can monitor with effects from the GT10. This is commonly referred to as dry tracking. You don't need to connect anything to the return jack when using this mode.
Amp control.
If you're using an amp that has multiple channels, the chances are your GT10 can switch channels for you. It's a pretty simple control that will only toggle between 2 channels. So if you've got a 3-channel amp, for instance, it'll only toggle between 2 of those channels. So there will always be 1 channel that's redundant. The great thing with this system though is that you can program it on a patch by patch basis. So if you're toggling between a clean or a dirty channel, you can actually set this up so that it's toggling to the correct channel for the patch that you've programmed. Basically, connect a cable from the amp control jack on the back of the GT10 to the channel switch jack on the back of your amplifier. Now there are 2 different types of cables. You may need to try either one to see which one gives you the correct switching behavior. The first one is a standard tip and a ring, a standard guitar jack kind of cable. And the other one's a TRS or stereo type cable, which is a tip, ring and a sleeve. Okay, so try each one and just see which one gives you the correct switching behavior.